I realized there are unique, outrageous acts of love that can be committed by me and me alone, and that is the unique purpose, obligation, joy, and responsibility. It's my ability to respond to reality. That's my outrageous act of love.
A planetary awakening in love through a unique self-symphony.
What a privilege it is to be part of this global community.
There's a voice within me that asks, who am I, right? Who am I in all of this?
Each and every one of us has a unique gift to give that we desperately need.
Welcome to the heart of the revolution, everyone. How wonderful to be together in one mountain, many paths, where our mission is what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dr. Mark Goffney call a planetary awakening in love through unique self-symphonies. We are activating a new humanity and awakening as a new species. Homo Amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapiens. As a church, synagogue, mosque, temple, zendo, no one is excluded, everyone is included, and we come together to attune to the evolutionary impulse awakening within us. I am Christina Tehel, the co-executive producer, along with Krista Josepha, Jamie Long, Jacqueline Clark, and we are so delighted to be together with each and every one of you today for our 295th live community broadcast. Welcome home, everyone. What a privilege it is to be part of a global community where we contribute to humanity's flourishing. Use the Zoom and the Facebook chat functions to say hello, to let us know where you're from, to resonate the Dharma, and to speak your prayers. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're on one of those platforms listening now, you can also join us on Zoom. And I want you to know that we will be playing a clip today in One Mountain, Many Paths that will get you kicked off of those live streams. So either join us on Zoom again, or we will restart those live streams once the clip is done after a few minutes. On Zoom, check that your chat settings say everyone so that we can all hear from you. Care to step into the work and practice of creating the great Homo Amor library? Reach out to me for the holy opportunities. My email is in the chat box now. This week we celebrate Jamie Long, who continues to deepen his devotion to the Dharma, who sees to the processes of all of our videos being prepared and posted in a timely fashion with such excellent quality, who holds with myself and David Cicerci, our Saturday co-study groups, and who offers his wide open heart to all of us. We love, witness, and appreciate you, Jamie. Join us on Mondays to write to today's evolutionary love code. One Mountain, Many Path members receive an email about writing to the evolutionary love codes every week. What to expect today? We have a little bit of a different agenda today because Dr. Mark Goffney is tending to a friend and a medical emergency, so he will not be with us today. So here is what to expect today. First, a Dharma recap from myself from last week. Then Krista Josepha sets our intention. Then David resonates our evolutionary love code. Then we step into our evolutionary sermon with Krista Josepha. And then David Cicerci will move us into meditation to enter prayer. To close, Krista will invite us deeper into community. We'll also hear from Jacqueline Clark. And then at the end, we will bring on everyone for our goodbyes and a short dance party. Mark writes what he calls evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied the codes together, often comparing them to Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. These codes grow out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years of crystallizing the new story of humanity. Quote, evolving the source code of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. I welcome all who are new. We need you. One Mountain, Many Paths is radically committed to telling the new universe story. Now for my recap from last week. Becoming the new human, homo amor, strategies of seduction, unfurnishing the eyes of consciousness. Last week, Dr. Mark explored one of the most powerful instruments of what he called sacred seduction, the seduction of she, of reality herself. Music. Music seduces. Music changes our mood. The move from Homo sapiens to Homo amor takes place when we change our mood, and then we change the mood of culture. Mood is a fundamental category of reality itself. So we have to change our mood. We have to deepen our mood. Reality is a story discerned by the eye of consciousness. We have to deploy the eye of consciousness in all of its four forms: the eye of spirit, the eye of the heart, the eye of value, the eye of contemplation. We've got to deploy them together with understanding that it's all inter-included. It's one eye, one reality, one heart, one cosmos, one field. We seduce ourselves by seeing, by unfurnishing our eyes, by cleansing the doors of perception. There's a very significant possibility of us disappearing. The disappearance will happen because of the success story we've created at the center of our culture. Rivalrous conflict governed by win-lose metrics, as we've spoken about here many times. Unfortunately, there's a race to the bottom, the tragedy of the common, multipolar traps. In response to existential risk, we are offering a messianic vision, not the old messianic vision, the new vision, the new human, the new humanity, Homo sapiens becoming Homo amor. Homo amor, we actually understand that there's a larger field of existence in which we live, this wider evolutionary context in which we realize evolution is throbbing and pulsing in us. So if you go back to the Big Bang, when the single point of the singularity stretches itself out in a line, time is birthed into reality. Within that line of time, there's continuity, yet moments distinguish themselves. It's this distinction of moments, the break in the continuity of time, that rhythm and melody are born. Here, we realize that music is the stuff of time, and that we ourselves are made of time, and that we further realize that we're made of music. That original matter in the first nanoseconds of the Big Bang, when the space-time continuum is born, lives in us. We're composed of it. So once we realize that music is the stuff of time and that we ourselves are made of time, we further realize that we are made of music. Music at its core is not made up of notes of sound, but rather music is made up of what sound is at its core. Music is made up of atoms of time. Wow. So the music that seduces us lives inside of us. We seduce ourselves by knowing the true nature of reality. It's know thyself, which means love yourself open, make love with and birth your highest self through knowing your true nature and knowing the nature of reality. It's one consciousness, it's one world, it's one reality. It's not a fragmented and fractured reality. Homo Amor becomes the new source code of reality itself. Now, I invite us to more deeply enter into the holy and sacred spaces of one mountain, many paths, and I turn my word to you, beloved Krista Josepha.
Thank you, Christina Tehel, for that beautiful and heart-opening recapitulation of the Dharma. And that's what we do here every week. We receive the transmission of the first principles and the first values as they were articulated by Dr. Mark Gaffney together with Barbara Marx Hubbard. And we miss Mark today, and we bless him and bless his friend and bless her health. And I'm so honored and so grateful that I get to guide us through a journey together, that we together get to go through a journey together. And Christina said it so beautifully and so painfully, is that we are here together for many reasons, but we are here together to respond to existential risks. And as Mark always says it, we stand here poised between utopia and dystopia. We actually have the ability to create together a more beautiful world than we ever imagined possible. But we also stand poised before dystopia. And there is a real possibility of us disappearing, like Christina said in our recapitulation. But instead of feeling devastated by that, which we do feel devastated, but we're also filled with hope. And how is that possible that we stand poised before dystopia filled with hope? And that is because we actually have something here to respond to existential risk with. We're responding to existential risk by evolving the source code of consciousness and culture, which is the evolution of love. And Mark has this beautiful sentence of Dharma, which is, we live in a world of outrageous pain, and the only answer, the only response is outrageous love. And there's actually a friend of ours who created a beautiful song on that text, and it goes like this. We live in a world of outrageous pain, outrageous pain. We live in a world of outrageous pain, outrageous pain. And the only answer is outrageous love. The only answer is outrageous love. Outrageous love, outrageous love, outrageous love. So we actually have something to respond to it. So our intention today is to feel into what that would mean if we would respond with outrageous love, to feel into that possibility of what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Mark Gaffney called together a planetary awakening in love through unique self symphonies. And Unique Self Symphonies is a new emergent. It's a new possibility. It's something that has never existed before. And the way we respond to existential risk is because it's not a top-down response, but it's actually a bottom-up response. The universe self-organizes if we download into the universe a new structure of consciousness. And I always love this image when we're talking about evolving the source code. What does that actually mean? But when it really speaks to me is when I have this image of how we're actually operating on the very DNA of Cosmos. So we're downloading new information into Cosmos, and that trickles down into every realm of this world. So Unique Self Symphony is an evolution of the source code, a new way of being with each other and a new way of being in the world. So to kind of bring us back into that teaching, I want to show us a clip from 2 weeks ago where Mark Gaffney invited us to seduce ourselves into our greatness, to seduce ourselves and each other into our unique self. So I want to ask David to play that clip.
But what if we actually have a deeper understanding of the human being? What if I understand that the human being and the distinctions that we've articulated here in Cosmoerotic Humanism, and one set of these distinctions is articulated in a full book called Your Unique Self, and there's an entire Unique Self Institute initiated by Claire Molinard that's dedicated to this distinction, right? And Tom, you and I have a book coming out, right, on a process to actually activate that distinction. So what if I'm actually not just a separate self, but number one, I'm a true self, meaning I'm part of the seamless code of the universe? What if my true identity is that I'm actually not separate from the field of consciousness and desire? Not just awareness, that's a mistake. That's a Ramana Maharshi mistake, with all due respect to Ramana Maharshi. No, I'm one with the field of consciousness and desire. And then what if I'm not only true self, right, one with the field of consciousness and desire, but I'm actually a unique individuation of that field, which is unique self. Unique self is higher individuation beyond separation. Does everyone get that? Unique self is, get this sentence, a great sentence. Unique self is higher individuation beyond separation, right? Now, am I excited about this? And I know some people get annoyed when I kind of get excited. I'm excited about this. It's exciting. This is a new understanding of human identity. This is the new human. This is Homo Amor. And this is exciting, right? So my individuation beyond separate self, meaning I'm now realized I'm part of the one field of true self. And then I'm a unique expression of that field. That's unique self. And then I locate myself in an evolutionary context. I'm part of the field of evolution. I realize the evolutionary impulse is awake and alive in me. I realize my deepest heart's desire is the desire of evolution. All of a sudden, I'm evolutionary unique self. And then evolutionary unique selves come together, right? And each one begins to play their own instrument, right? And their own jazz movement in the unique self symphony. Wow. That's a whole world. Now, how do I get from separate self to true self, to unique self, to evolutionary unique self, to unique self symphony? That's to be seduced upwards. Does everyone get that? That's huge. To be seduced upwards means I'm not seduced as downward causation. Seduction is not a regressive move. Rather, I'm seduced to be my highest self. I'm seduced to be my most wondrous. I'm seduced to be my most beautiful. I'm seduced from separate self upwards to true self. I'm seduced into greater depth. I'm seduced into my uniqueness, into my unique self, right? I'm seduced into my evolutionary unique self, but I'm seduced into picking up my instrument and playing my instrument in unique self symphony.
We're seduced to picking up our instruments and playing it in the unique self symphony. So what we're doing here together is we are introducing a new vision of self, a new narrative of identity, as Mark calls it, to the question of who am I? Who am I is I am a unique self. I am an irreducible, unique expression of love, beauty, love, intelligence, and love, desire that never was, is, or will be ever again. And as such, I have unique gifts to give in my unique corner of the world that no one other than me can give. And it's also a new vision of who are we? We are a unique self symphony. We come together as unique selves to play our instrument in the symphony. And we're not just one unique self symphony, but we're multiple unique self symphonies coming together to play together. And this is what I love about working here and co-creating here at the Center for Integral Wisdom, is that we're all supporting each other and we're all holding each other and we're all loving each other to become and to seduce each other to become the greatest versions of ourselves. Before I talk a little bit more about that, I want to turn to David to take us inside and resonate this week's evolutionary love code.
Oh my God, Krista, thank you so much for bringing us into this introduction here and moving us inside. I do feel seduced here at One Mountain, Many Paths every week. And, I think all of us, and I certainly do, have felt the desire to close up when it gets hard, right? And sort of step away and sort of shut down when the world is too painful. And I love the experience of being invited to step back in and invited to open my heart over and over again. I also find that it's in some ways becoming more and more of a habit to do that. So it's a pleasure to be here with you as I resonate the evolutionary love code for this week. Paste it in the chat box. There it is. There is no love without seduction. Seduction is a first principle and first value of cosmos. Wisdom is to distinguish between holy seduction and unholy seduction. Holy seduction seduces us upwards. Unholy seduction seduces us downwards. Unholy seduction is, I seduce you to violate your appropriate boundary for the sake of my greed. Whereas holy seduction is, I seduce you to transcend the boundary of your limitation, of your contraction, for the sake of your and reality's greatest, deepest need. Everyone is seduced. The question is to trust the right person or people or art or music or dharma to seduce you. So with that, I turn my word back to you, beloved Krista.
Thank you, David, so much. So beautiful. And what David is speaking about is the distinction between unholy seduction and holy seduction. And like he resonated in the code, unholy seduction is seducing each other to violate the appropriate boundary for the sake of my own greed. And holy seduction, I seduce you to transcend the boundary of your limitation, of your contraction, for the sake of your and reality's deepest need. And I want to add one more distinction to that Dr. Mark Gaffney has shared with us, which is the distinction between three different levels. The first level is the pre-personal, then you have the personal and the transpersonal. So the pre-personal means that we're going backwards. We're losing our sense of being a unique self. We're losing ourselves. So when we're entering into a unique self symphony or entering into a group or into a movement, we can feel that we're losing ourselves in that. And we're only in communion and not in autonomy. So one example of that, of course, is in its worst form is a cult. So the second level is personal, where I can be completely personal. I can be totally myself, but I'm actually a separate self. I'm not connected to the whole. I'm not connected to the group. I'm not connected to other people, which makes me very lonely. And then the next level is transpersonal, which means that we can actually step into communion and step into a unique self symphony and become more of ourselves. We actually emerge as our unique self more and more, the more that we step in. So we can be more personal, we can be more unique, we can be more aware of our own dignity, our own beauty, and also of our own boundaries. And we can be a part of a symphony, so we're not alone, we're actually in communion. So this is what we are here to seduce each other into, to become the greatest, most beautiful version of ourselves. And Mark also shared in the previous weeks on these meditations on seduction that one of the most powerful tools that we have to seduce each other is music. The music that seduces us lives actually inside of us. So I want to say begin our journey, but we're already well on our way. I want to invite us to chant together, to sing together, and to feel that resonant field of outrageous love, to feel what it might mean, a unique self-symphony, this new code, this new structure, how that might look like. And I want to chant together the word shalom, which means peace. And as we're chanting together, even though we're not in the same room together, we can actually feel each other. So maybe you want to close your eyes and sing along. It's very simple. It's just shalom, shalom, shalom. So you can easily sing along, and we can actually hear each other chanting and bring all of our unique voices into the unique self-symphony. Shalom, 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 shalom.
The caterpillar's about to die. It gets very, very bloated. It's eating everything in sight. Everything gets more and more bloated. Caterpillar. There's actually a tractor company called Caterpillar. Eating, eating, eating. Until it finally turns itself upside down and hangs itself on a branch. And it's a chrysalis, right? It's this enclosed place where the caterpillar, right, just ravenously starts exploding. And then biologists tell us that something new is emergent. There are actually, and biologists actually call this new emergent, right, imaginal cells, little imaginal cells. And the old system of the caterpillar, right, the old immune system views these imaginal cells as crazy, as insane, as unconventional, as post-conventional, as anarchic. And so the old immune system of the caterpillar goes and kills the imaginal cells. Wilhelm Reich, Lao Tzu, right? Buddha, right? The Christs in all the generations, right? We always kill our imaginal cells. But the imaginal cells don't stop. They multiply, and the imaginal cells do something which is utterly essential. They're attracted to each other. The imaginal cells are actually allured to each other. So the imaginal cells start to come together until in their coming together, they become strong, right? They become linked. They're allured to each other, and the caterpillar's old systems give way, and the imaginal cells transform. The caterpillar disappears, and a butterfly emerges. That's the new story. And we, friends, we're the imaginal cells. That's who we are this week. We are literally the imaginal cells. And every one of us was attracted, was allured to come here. And every one of us could have not come. And every one of us could have spent this week in a completely different way. And every one of us had a reason, something that said, no, in the end, I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up. But I'm going to show up not just for my own transformation. Right? The end is in the beginning, and the beginning is in the end. Right? The highest pleasure, level 6, is transformation. But the highest level of transformation is the knowing that my transformation transforms the entire story. So we are actually imaginal cells. That's the nature of our community. And we're going to actually reimagine. We're going to close the gap. The literalization of imagination in technology has happened, and now we're going inside, and we're together going to be, right, the birther of Homo Amor. And who births Homo Amor? The Homo Amor story, which is beyond the hero story. The one who births Homo Amor is Homo Imaginus. Homo Imaginus. Adam. The word Adam in the original Hebrew, dimayon, to imagine. Right? To be a human, Adam is Adam and Eve together. It's man, woman together before the split. Right? To be a human being is to reimagine reality. Now you think, I think, we think, there's somebody doing this. He must be exaggerating. It couldn't be that in the key departments, so I wager you this, you find me in Holland, you find me in Belgium, right? You find me in the United States, you find me any place, rooms that are actually doing this reimagination. They barely exist. There's little moments, a moment there, a moment there. We got to come together. And we're going to do a key piece of the imagining, right, of this, and we're going to bring it down. So we're going to be together, here's a word, ontological activists. We're going to create a new cosmic habit. But not as a metaphor, for realsies. But we can only do it if we are the transformation. We be it, we become it. We become Homo Imaginus. We become Homo Amor.
Yes, we become Homo Amor. What an insanely beautiful invitation. And I just get tears in my eyes listening to this and feeling into our space together. And what an honor it is, what a privilege it is to kind of feel, to hold that in our hands, that responsibility, that privilege, that honor, that we are actually, Christina just wrote it in the chat, we are the birthers of Homo Amor. We are birthing Homo Amor, and we are the midwives and the mid-husbands of Homo Amor. And this is ours to do, and this is our responsibility, and this is our great joy to be here together for that purpose. And I want to look at another beautiful clip together. But before I do that, I want to share a little bit about my story and what it has been like for me to step into Unique Self Symphony and how that tastes for me and how that feels, so we can kind of get a taste of it together. So I've been studying with Dr. Mark Gaffney at the Outrageous Love Festival since, I think, 8 years. So I've been kind of coming closer, circling closer since 8 years. But it was really 2 years ago where I really had the courage and the clarity to fully step in. And before that, I was doing kind of my own little coaching business, and I was getting by, trying to get by, kind of in a separate self survival mode. And I was very much in the spiritual new age scene. So it was a lot about self-help and self-development. And that was really important to do. But at some point with the Dharma, it helped me transform and grow into something that is much bigger. Because, for example, I remember I would go to a tantric teacher training, both at Koh Phangan in Thailand, but also at Bali. So it's a beautiful tropical island at Bali, and we're all doing our self-help and our self development, but it's actually also very self-involved. And it wasn't omni-considerate at all. It was just me and my personal transformation, which is huge and important and beautiful, but it actually wasn't connected to the whole. Actually, the world and the pain that the world is in was actually too much for me to look at and to relate to, because I felt like I couldn't do anything about that anyway. So I was just focusing on that. But for example, I would be in Ubud, which is a big city at Bali, which is supposed to be the spiritual hub where all the spiritual people hang out. And I was so embarrassed of being there as a New Age person, because I looked around me and I saw the poor people and the people, the Balinese people, actually working really hard. But then you had the Western people coming in, and us spiritual people doing our workshops there. And you would see people driving around at scooters, because everyone has a scooter at Bali. And then driving around at scooters, but at the same time wearing a mask. And because the city was so polluted, but still driving the scooters. So driving a scooter, wearing a mask because the city is polluted, and then driving to our yoga classes and getting our green juices. And I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? This can't be right. And it just didn't feel right. And I was looking for something different. So then what happened is COVID, of course. So that's kind of an increasing of the crisis of the world and confronting all of us, and also me, with myself and what I was doing. And so because of that, I had to let go of my business because I couldn't give any sessions anymore, and I didn't know what to do. But it was actually, for me personally, a great gift, because it helped me to let go of all of that separate self survival struggle mode, and really be willing to give myself, my heart, my time, my energy to something that is bigger than myself, to something greater than myself, to a greater cause. And as Mark always speaks about, the greatest pleasure is the pleasure of transformation, the transformation of the whole. And the greatest pleasure is to stand for a cause that is greater than myself. So it took a long time for me to being willing to it's a surrendering that I'm experiencing, to surrender to something that is bigger than myself, and to actually hear that calling of reality. And when we're talking about unique self, it really clicked for me when one time Mark was speaking about it, that unique self can mean something different in different phases of our lives, but it can also mean something different in different times in history. So living our unique self 100 years ago may look differently than living our unique self in these times. So these times of existential risk actually call even more for us to not ask the question, what does my separate self ego want, but to ask the question, what does reality need from me right now? And to live like that. And the beautiful thing about it is that actually what reality needs from us in every moment is actually what our deepest clarified heart's desire is, because there is no split between cosmic desire and my personal desire, as long as I'm plugged in to my unique self, to my heart, to what I truly deeply desire. And becoming a part of this unique self symphony has just invited me to rise and into my greatness. And it's such a pleasure to be working and creating together every day, and feeling so held. Like right before this One Mountain started, the whole team was there. We had a pre-meeting, and as a band of outrageous lovers, everyone is stepping in to do whatever is needed and blessing me to do this today, to speak today. And I felt so honored and held and loved in that place. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my story before we take the next step. I wanted to look together at a clip of the movie Avatar, because I think this clip really shows this calling of the world right now, calling us into our greatness, calling us to be willing to let go of whatever we were doing, maybe give up our holiday plans, maybe change our flight tickets and say, fuck it, I'm just gonna fly to Europe to go to the Outrageous Love Festival this summer, to be willing to step in and to do whatever it takes. And this is a scene of the movie where, I'm not gonna go in to explain the whole movie, I think most of us have seen it, but it plays at Pandora, which is a moon planet. And Pandora is this beautiful place where the creatures are living deeply connected to source and deeply connected to spirit. But this place is threatened. So basically what we're seeing is that they're also in existential risk. So they're fighting that, and they're called to stand for love together. And at this planet, there's a lot of different tribes all over the world, and they're kind of living their own clan lives, and they're basically in ethnocentric intimacy. They care about their clan and their tribe, but basically that's it. But as soon as there's this existential threat to their survival, they are all called to come together and to respond with outrageous love. So let's take a look at this clip with the intention to feel what that might feel like to come together in unique self symphonies.
We rode out to the four winds, to the horse clans of the plain, to the Ikran people of the Eastern Sea. When Turuk Makto called them, they came.
Wow, let's feel that for a moment. I just have goosebumps and tears, feeling that this is actually, that it's true, that it's actually true, that this is ours to do. And they're talking about, let me just remember the name, Turuk Makto, right? That is this creature. And in the movie, they are calling it the mythical hero who leads the people to victory during times of great sorrow. And we here in the Dharma, we know that there's a democratization of enlightenment. There's a democratization of greatness. So each and every one of us is the Messiah. Each and every one of us is the Turuk Makto. And each and every one of us is called to be this great mythical hero. And this, for me, this scene of this movie is an image, and I hope a feeling of what it means that we are right now here together, and that we're inviting each other to come together here every week, but also come together at the Outrageous Love Festival, because it's called a festival, but it's actually this mystical gathering for revolutionaries who come from all over the world. People who say, I actually care. I actually want to show up for this. I don't care what it takes, but I'm going to come. And it's this mystical gathering where we are called to birth Homo Amor together. And each and every one of us, as you can see in this clip, they are all needed. We're all needed. And they're going all over the earth. They're going to the south, and the clans of the west, and the clans of the north, and the clans of the east. And all of them are gathered together because they cannot do this alone. We cannot do this alone. Each and every one of us is needed. So I want to invite us to feel into that calling and what that might mean for you, and to feel that actually this time of existential risk is not about figuring out, and of course we all have to do that, but also not, it's not like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Am I sure? Am I not sure? Can I afford it? It's too much money. It's too much hassle. I already planned my holidays. I was like, fuck, actually, there is a possibility that the world is ending, and all of reality is calling us right now to step in and to say yes to this. So to take us one step further inside of what it might mean to be a unique self-symphony, and especially get a taste of how that tastes to be together at the Outrageous Love Festival, at this mystical gathering where we're taking our seats at the table of history, I want to show you one last clip. And this is recorded at the Outrageous Love Festival in a beautiful royal castle, where Mark has spoken a lot about these teachings of Unique Self Symphony. And in this clip, he's going to take us on a journey through the movie called Bohemian Rhapsody. And we're going to get a taste of what this planetary awakening in love through unique self symphonies might feel like. Not pre-personal, not personal, but transpersonal, where each and every one of us is filled with the goodness of our unique selves. So we'll take a look at this clip, and at the end, we'll hear Mark speak about that a little bit more.
Now let's take it inside. We're inside, we're in Unique Self, we're getting the fragrance of Unique Self Symphony. Now take it in, silence, punch, breathe in. So you think, okay, there's no place else we can go. We're done, we've got one more step, and it's higher than that. So take it in, one more clip, take it in, one more clip. So here, what do we got? What do we got? Imagine, and this is our enactment, this is our vision, imagine that each person in that audience, right? Keep it up if you can, right? Right? Each person in that audience, okay, had a self-identity of homo amor. And imagine that. Each one actually knew, I'm a unique self. It's not separate self, broken, pseudo, Actually, each person actually knew, and then that, in the next clip, and then that actually activates people around the world. So in the last step here, watch the boards lighting up around the world. The next clip adds something critical. Right? They're not yet Unique Self Symphony, but you begin to see it amplifying all through the world. And now just imagine in our enactment of this, this is our vision, right? If you dream, you make it happen. The only thing in the way of our dreams is we're too small. Let's expand, let's dream it, right? The whole world, right? Homo amor, Unique Self Symphony, and then the boards, right, light up, right, all over the place, okay? And then the hammer falls, right? Then it changes, right? Then it moves. Then the whole thing happens. Take us inside.
Thank you so much. Would you like to make it a live?
Watch it all over the world. It's lighting up. Unique Self Symphony. And we ended on the last clip. We didn't end with the ecstasy of the clip before, which we could have, right? Why don't we just end there, right? Because we're doing Dharma. In the last clip, you saw it ripple through the world. Did you get that? In the last clip, you saw each way he was drumming, he was guitaring, and it rippled around the world. Right? As they were coming together as Unique Self Symphony, so now imagine Homo Amor Facebook. Right? Imagine, right, the Dharma in play. Right? The motive force of reality for procreation was pleasure. And the motive force of reality for co-creation is pleasure. Wholemates come together because it's pleasurable. Because joining genius is hot. It's hot. It's the hottest thing you can do. Right? I'm joining genius to co-create. And here's the image. A planetary awakening in evolutionary love through unique self symphonies. Is that gorgeous? Is that gorgeous? Right? It's like, right? A planetary awakening. Now, you said, impossible. Look what we just saw. That was a fragrant image of it. Right? The only thing that's in our way is the smallness of our imagination. There's no reason whatsoever that we can't in this room manifest that. We have enough potency. We have enough power, and as Homo Amor, we are power hungry. Not for power over, in its decadent sense, but the power of transformation. The power of four. The power of, right, evolution moving uniquely in me. We have enough power in this room. We have enough potency in this room. We have enough love in this room. We have enough evolutionary love in this room. We have enough creativity in this room. We have enough desire in this room. We have enough goodness in this room. We have enough integrity in this room. We have enough delight in this room to manifest that exponentially. Not exponential breakdown that we talked about on day one, but actually exponential explosion, right, of a planetary awakening in evolutionary love through unique self symphonies, the Da Vinci moment enacted in the Renaissance by not more than 1,000 people. That's us. That's this moment.
That's us. That is this moment. That is so powerful and so exciting. And I just want to give my deepest bow and gratitude to Dr. Mark Gaffney, together with Barbara Marx Hubbard, articulating this language, this Dharma, this field of outrageous love that we get to drink from every week, that we get to become, that we get to speak into. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we've been on a journey today where I wanted to feel together the possibility of a unique self symphony, the possibility and the memory that hope is a memory of the future. And we cannot close a gathering, a togetherness on unique self symphony without actually hearing one more voice in the space, because I already shared with you that it is such a blessing and honor to co-create together, and more people are stepping in, and we are all invited to step in and to play, to step on the court, and more people are doing that. Like Elena has stepped into editing, Paul is leading the editing teams, and Christina, and we have Arnau stepping in, and Raquel, and I just saw Matti is here, and Adam is here, and we all have our unique place in the symphony, and we all have our unique role and our unique thing to hold and to take care of. And I have the privilege to work together with Jacqueline Clark all throughout the week. So I just wanted to invite her to speak and share with us a little bit of her experience of the taste of a unique self symphony.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you for such a beautiful invitation to step in and to speak of my experience. And all through this beautiful One Mountain, we've been invited to think about what it means to be part of a unique self symphony. And for me, it has been the most wonderful, awesome experience ever. To be loved open, to be seduced open, to be seduced into my greatness, to come together with a band of people who love, who want the best, who want me to be the best. And it's just such a beautiful place for me to be able to bring my gifts, which is a very new experience for me. I haven't always brought my gifts. I've been more the sort of person who's fitted into what I've thought has been needed. And it's only been very late in life, I suppose, that I've had the confidence and the courage and the allurement to really be myself. And the experience is wonderful to step into my, if I may say, my greatness, to bring what it is that I am able to bring, and to take my full responsibility for what it is that I do and what it is that I bring to all my separate roles in One Mountain. So it's the sort of thing Mark's talked about before, to take 100% responsibility for what might be my 5% or my 10% or whatever it is in the particular unique self symphony that I'm stepping into. And to hear the call and then know, as Mark has said before, that I am desired, I am loved, adored, I am needed, chosen, intended, and recognized, and to feel all that and to know all that and to give everything, literally everything, for the evolution of the source code is the most wonderful joy and the most wonderful, wonderful, wonderful privilege. So if you are thinking, shall I step in? I would say yes, yes, yes. We need you and you need us, and we can only do it together. So thank you so, so much, Krista, for this opportunity to speak. I hand it back to you.
Whoa, that just blows my heart open. It's so wonderful to see how we're working, we're doing, we're acting, but your unique self radiates also so beautiful with your heart that is so open and so willing to feel it all and help us all feel it all. And with that, we're going to almost the end of our weekly broadcast. We're going to David, who's going to guide us into prayer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krista. So we're a little over time, but this is so important, right? We can't do this without connecting to the ultimate, right? The biggest part of ourselves that is connected with all it is. So as we, actually meditate to enter prayer, we actually tap into the deepest we can, the deepest part of the universe, the deepest part of ourselves. And we usually do this through what Mark calls, what Ken Wilber called the 1, 2, 3 of God. And remember, the God you don't believe in doesn't exist, as Mark always says. So if you don't like the word, change the word to something that makes more sense to you at this point in your journey. So we look at God as the third person ultimate, right? God in the third person, which is the force that binds all of reality, right? It's actually Eros that evolves all things towards higher and higher levels of complexity, connectivity, coherence, and elegant order. Last night I actually had a dream. For some reason, I had a dream about dissipative structures. Big word. Autopoiesis, another big word. But all that says is basically that our crisis is a birth. So if you want to discover or kind of discover more deeply these principles of God in the third person, go search for autopoiesis and dissipative structures. It'll blow your mind, right? So God in the third person is when we actually discover more about the first principles and first values of reality. So the code that we read today, the teachings of the Dharma, these are all God in the third person. God that from the essence of all that is manifests with these principles, right? From the causal domain, causal level. So then we realize, God having a Mark experience often says that the inside of interconnectivity is intimacy. So we can actually be intimate. We can actually experience our own complexity as the conscious human body, brain that has evolved over 14 billion years of evolution, and look on the inside and realize that we can be intimate with all the parts of ourselves, right? And so we continue to deepen our experience of spirit, of the divine, of God, by looking within and being intimate with our body, with all the parts of our bodies, with all the voices and all of the parts of our psyche, with all of our emotions, with all of our desires and yearnings. And the continuous process of deepening our intimacy with ourselves ultimately leads us to the deepest part of ourselves, which is God having a you experience. So we actually hear the voice of God echoing through our deepest heart's desires. And we realize that I am evolution. You are evolution. That this whole process out there that's working through everything that we see around us is actually happening in here. And if you notice in the video that Krista showed, the way that we actually access God in the first person, it can be through meditation, right? And deepening our awareness of awareness. And as Mark often says, it's also about opening the heart and moving and energizing ourselves and actually experiencing the power of evolution in the body, in the self, right? So an invitation for all of us to find ways to energize ourselves and actually feel what it's like to have the pulsating desire of evolution inside living as us, because we can't do it without that. And finally, we go to God in the second person, the infinity of intimacy. So imagine, we can be infinite, we can be intimate with ourselves. And Mark often says that when we think about ourselves, it's actually God thinking about ourselves, right? And so if we turn to the infinity of intimacy, imagine how much more intimate Goddess herself, himself, is with us. And you can think about imagining somebody you love, someone that you fell in love with or that loves you deeply, sitting next to you, in front of you, gazing into your eyes, loving you madly, saying to you, I want to know everything. Tell me who you are. Show up as yourself. I accept you as you are. I accept you as you are becoming. I hold you in all of your pain and all of your joy and beauty. And just with tears in their eyes, they're looking at you with such deep love. How does that feel? Now take that feeling and double it, triple it. Continue to multiply that feeling to the infinite multiplier, the infinity of intimacy experiences love for you and love for me that much. So as we go into our love song with the divine here, our holy and broken hallelujahs, we can actually offer ourselves, surrender to this larger force that holds us, the personhood of the cosmos, infinity of intimacy. And we're going to play a different song today to actually get us energized to experience the divine in this way. How deep is your love? Christina, as we go into how deep is your love, write your prayers in the chat box. Pray for everything. This infinity of intimacy hears all of our prayers and holds us. How deep is your love? Christina. Praying for everything with the body, with the words. I'll just read a few prayers so we can resonate together. Jacqueline, I pray that we may all step in deeper and deeper together as we evolve the source code of reality. Amen. Mosa, from Mosa, I pray to go deeper from visiting my friend. I pray to access the other 90% of my brain. Yes, Mosa. Jamie, I pray to clarify my field of desire, to feel evolution. Yes, Christina, dancing together for the love of revolution, for the love revolution. Jacqueline, praying for Mark's friend. Yes, may she be well. Becca, I pray for healing of all creatures in the world. Kirsten, I'm praying to ever grow and expand in my ability to love and transform both myself and through my transformation to transform the world. And Carol, welcome, Carol. I pray for opening hearts, for healing for all of us, for the love that is what we are. So all of these prayers, lifting them up to the sky. And I turn my word back to you, Krista. Take us home.
Thank you, David. Thank us all for that beautiful, beautiful prayer and for placing our attention on the evolution of love. And in case you haven't noticed yet, all of this was, of course, a taste for us to feel the possibility of a unique self symphony, but also to give us a taste of what the Outrageous Love Festival is all about, because we're gathering all of the clans from the north, the east, the south, the west, and we're coming together at this mystical temple place to take our seats at the table of history. And you are invited, and I am invited, and we are invited to show up there. So go to outrageouslovefestival.org if you want to know more about that. You can also send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat box. And I'm happy to meet with you. I know Shahad and Claire are also very delighted to meet with anyone who has any questions, or if you just want to check in and connect a little bit. Also, if you feel like stepping into the unique self symphony of One Mountain, Many Paths, then you are welcome to bring your unique gifts to the table. And also for that, I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call with you and just get to know each other. You are also invited to participate as a member, what we call an evolutionary partner of One Mountain. We have online study groups. We have our weekly writing group happening every Monday. And that's just a beautiful way to step in, to connect with other evolutionary souls on the path and resonate and become the Dharma together. I just want to show you really quick before we end the website where you can find out more about that. So that would be onemountainmanypaths.org. If you click here on partnership, you can read all about it. And just so you know, if the contribution, you can see right here, you can choose it yourself. Even if you can't afford it, just write me an email and I'm sure we can figure something out. But also, if you have a lot of spare money on the bank, please give as much as you possibly can so we can really make this new story available for everyone that needs it. We're not in the win-lose game here. We just want to change the world. So if you scroll down here, you see that we have 9 beautiful online courses that you get access to as a member of One Mountain. So now we close our beautiful gathering as we do every week. We bring everyone on, and that's actually where we get to see the unique faces of our unique self symphony. So most of you have already been invited. So I want to ask you to go to the right top of your screen and put yourself on gallery view. And if you haven't yet, you will get an invitation to promote as panelists, which means that you will be able to turn your camera on and we will be able to see each other. Like now I see Gabi, I see Becca, I see Tom, I see Wanda. So slowly, we're all coming onto the screen and we get to dance it out together. And today we have a very special song, a new song. And the lyrics, the most important lyrics of this song are, let's get it started. So let's dance it out and give it our all. Thank you all so much. Let's get it started.
Yeah,